The NBA season is almost here, and on today's show, we are ranking the top 10 players in the NBA before the season tips off next Tuesday evening. We saw ESPN do it, we saw The Ringer do it, and now Chat Sports coming up with a top 10, which is undoubtedly better than those other two frauds over there. And that is why you subscribe to the channel, because the season does begin in less than a week, and we're going to cover it better than anyone else. Weekly power rankings, weekly rumors, you have it here at Chat Sports at NBA Now, so make sure you hit that sub button. And with that said, let's jump into our top 10 list, and we'll start with the king, LeBron James, the kid from Akron. We still think that he is a top 10 player in our league today, and how can you disagree, right? Like, he's so consistent. He's been able to sustain success longer than anyone in NBA history. Undoubtedly a top 2 player of all time. Hey, if you have him 1, that's cool, but you at least have to have him at number 2. Him and MJ, that debate will go on until the world explodes, in my mind. It will never be anyone else behind those two. I mean, 27 points over 1,400 career games. Are you kidding me? LeBron James is still that guy, and if he's able to remain healthy, he will be able to sustain success as long as he possibly can, because his game still matches his ability, and that is my biggest question, right? Like, how much longer can LeBron do this? Is he handing the reins off to Anthony Davis in Los Angeles sooner rather than later? LeBron James, a phenomenal basketball player, and at still age close to 40, he is still a top 10 player in this league, in our opinion. Number 9, don't shoot the messenger, but it's Jayson Tatum. And I know some of you guys might expect him to be a little bit higher on this list, but here's the thing. When you look at the other 8 guys above Jayson Tatum, there's reasons, in my opinion, to have Tatum this back. And it all goes back to me in the postseason up and downs of Jayson Tatum. He's been phenomenal at times, dropping 50 at home against the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 7. But then there's also games where he disappears. His one shot in the NBA Finals, he stunk up the joint. And then he's had some rough games against the Miami Heat as well. An inconsistent basketball player in the postseason is the reason why he's number 9. But don't let me discredit Tatum too much longer. This is still one of the best young players in our league. And if we had a redraft inside the NBA starting right now, Jayson Tatum is 100% going top 5. Number 8, Jimmy Butler, and this is where it gets a little contentious. At Chat Sports' producer Smitty is giving me an absolute look, our resident Celtics fan. But when you think about Jimmy versus Tatum, and just argue 9 versus 8 right now, they've matched up in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 seasons. Jimmy's had the edge 2 out of those 3 times. And the reason why I give the slight edge to Jimmy Butler personally is because he's the number 1 option on a team that's went to the finals twice in the last 4 seasons. And in Eastern Conference Finals, 3 out of the last 4 seasons. And one thing that is also key to me, at least when evaluating a player, is clutchness when it matters most, and then two-way ability. And Jayson Tatum is a phenomenal defensive player as well. But Jimmy Butler, we're talking about a top 5 clutch player in the league, a top 5 two-way wing in our league. There is no one who does it better for the Miami Heat than Jay Butt. I love what I see out of Jimmy. And I know people are going to come out and say he doesn't play in the regular season. But when the chips are down, are you really going to try to tell me that you're not taking Jimmy Butler to win 1 game over Jayson Tatum right now? I don't know. But you guys can actually answer that question for me. Who's a better player right now? Is it JT in Boston? Type those JTs. Is it Jimmy in the 305? Type JB. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Number 7 is my main guy, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because he is one of the budding superstars that we have in our league today. Because when you see what he has been able to do since he's been traded to the Oklahoma City Thunder from the Los Angeles Clippers, he has been phenomenal. And what he did last season for that Thunder was nothing short of remarkable. 31.4 points per game, 5.5 assists, 5 rebounds, while shooting 51% from the field. Now, you will argue that his three-point numbers need to get bumped up. That is no question. But his efficiency inside the arc is second to none. He's able to draw fouls at that guard position better than anyone. When you think of who gets to the line the most, you think of Giannis, you think of Joel Embiid. And then right there at number 3 is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He can do it all. And he is a budding superstar in the NBA, like I mentioned. He is still very, very young. I just mentioned Jayson Tatum in a redraft league. Where would he go? I think Tatum would be maybe the 3rd or 4th pick. Shai might be number 5. Like, Shai is right there, and I expect him to take another leap this upcoming season. You've got the 2nd overall pick, Chet Holmgren, coming back from a couple years ago, making his debut for the Thunder. You've got Jalen Williams, Josh Giddey. That team is very, very talented, and with Shai at the helm, handling the rock, I think the Thunder take another step. And if Shai's able to put up those numbers again with a Thunder team that is maybe top 5 in the NBA this season, let's go Western Conference, top 5 in the Western Conference, you're talking about a player that might be winning MVP and is definitely going to be looked at as a number 7 player in our NBA. Number 6, Kevin Durant, the Slim Reaper. And it's hard to disagree with KD being where he is, right? He is the most talented offensive player in the NBA. And he might be the most talented offensive player the league has ever seen. At 6'10", 6'11", his handle, his jumper, his ability to get to his spot, and it almost feels like every time he rises up for a jump shot, even though there is a defender there, you could say, it's really uncontested because his release is also so high. KD, I know he's older, but I do believe that as the number 1 guy in Phoenix, he is going to lead that team to a top 2, top 3 record in the Western Conference, and they will be a top 5 team, in my opinion, that could cut down the net. I know we're not talking March Madness, but winning that championship in June, I think KD's in for a big-time season. Nice little rebound year, if you will, after an up-and-down 22-23. Before we get to our top 5, I got to show some love to Prize Picks, today's sponsor on today's show. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports app on the planet. And if you go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS, you can get a first deposit match up to $100. Yes, that is right. You can make 2 to 6 player stat projections. You don't have to fight pros and sharks. You just play the odds. And guess what? I went with a nice little 3-pick selection for this upcoming season. I got more than 26 points per game for Anthony Edwards, the number 1 guy in Minnesota. A nice sophomore leap for Paolo Banchero, more than 21.8 points per game. And to round out my selections, 9.3 rebounds for Bam. I'll take more than on that. One more time, go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. They have easy, quick withdrawals and great gameplay with an enormous amount of selections. Shout out to Prize Picks, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS. First deposit match up to $100. Let's kick it to Luka Doncic at number 5 on our list. And what he's able to do on the basketball court is nothing short of unbelievable. Since he's entered the year, he has been an incredible basketball player. And, you know, one thing I will say, though, about Luka before I give him more praise, is this is a big year for the main man in Dallas. They missed the playoffs last year. Yes, there was injuries. Yes, there was concerns with that roster. But now you have Kyrie Irving for a full year. What is that duo in the backcourt going to be able to do? Because Luka is one of the most talented players we have in our league. When you talk about his ability to get rebounds defensively, assist, play make, and score, I mean, just look at what he's been able to do over the last 4 seasons. Consistently putting up 28 points per night, 8+ rebounds, and 8+ assists. No one stuffs the stat sheet like number 77. And if he's able to finally translate that into big-time wins for the Dallas Mavericks, we're talking about a guy that could be creeping up to number 2, number 1 on this list of top 10 players inside the NBA. Number 4 is maybe the best point guard of all time, Stephen Curry, the Splash Bro Chef Curry in the Bay Area. Someone who has transcended the game of basketball. Just when you look at what he's been able to do from the three-point land. Now everybody jacks up threes. It's more of a league that is threes or layups. Well, you can thank number 30 for that. And Curry is someone who I don't think I have to explain as being a top 10 player in the league. I just think when you look at the other three guys on the top of our list, and I think you guys are able to go or know where this is heading, those guys are younger. They're just at the top of their game right now. And I'm not saying Curry's not good. It's just that if you were to tell me, would I rather have a guy like Joel Embiid right now, who comes in at number 3 on our list, I think I'm taking Embiid. I know he's battled injuries, but Embiid is the reigning MVP, right? Like, he just put up 30 and 10 on a Sixers team that he didn't get much help from James Harden. I know Tyrese Maxey is a budding star in this league as well, but Joel Embiid is really, really good. Obviously just won MVP. You could argue he should have won MVP last season as well, but we have Embiid just ahead of Curry on this list because of what he's able to do defensively. And I think that's the main thing when you look at Steph Curry, what his biggest issue is I'm not saying he's a bad defender, but when you think of what teams plan to do going against the Golden State Warriors in the biggest moments in the playoffs, they target Steph because they know that if they tire him out defensively, he will struggle more offensively. Plus, he's not the strongest guy. He's like 6'2". He's not that big. He's a little, I'm not saying he's frail, but if you get a bigger offensive guard posting up Steph Curry, it's going to be barbecue chicken. I mean, look at what Austin Reeves did to him in the semifinals or the second round of the Western playoffs last year. Austin Reeves was able to get to his spot and score on Steph Curry every single time. But back to Joel Embiid, right? Like, he has not been able to get to that big game, get to the Eastern Conference Finals just yet. They had the number 1 seed, and then they blew it to the Atlanta Hawks in the second round. Like, Joel Embiid and the Sixers, I love Embiid. He is deserving to be number 3 on our list, but there are some deficiencies when it comes to being hurt in the postseason. But when he's healthy, when he puts it all together, he is no doubt a top 3 player in the NBA. But I'll ask you guys this. Will the Sixers finally get over the hump this year? You know, they've got a tricky situation right now with James Harden, who, as of today, is no longer even with the team in the preseason. He's in Houston, probably at some strip clubs, spending some racks. But will the Sixers make the Eastern Conference Finals this year? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm saying hell no. Celtics and Bucks are way better teams. Number 2, speaking of the Milwaukee Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And it's tough to debate him or Jokic. We obviously know Jokic is going to end up being number 1 on this list. And I don't really think, in my opinion, it does go to Jokic. You can debate Giannis because what Giannis can do on the defensive side of the floor. But Jokic, when you just look at the two of Giannis and Jokic, you just think of what Jokic brings to his team. He can score 24 a night. He will put up 12 rebounds, and he'll also dish out 10 assists. We have not seen a center like Nikola Jokic in our league. I mean, putting up triple-doubles as a big man is flat out insane. And then the craziest part about Nikola Jokic, well, look at his efficiency. 63% from the field. Are you kidding me, Joker? And then not to mention, 38% from 3. This dude is unbelievable offensively. The only thing that he lacks is defense, and that is where I give the edge to Giannis. I think the two are very close. But when you think of the last 3 to 4 seasons, Jokic has won 2 MVPs. He's also won Finals MVP, coming off a Finals championship. I know Giannis did the same thing, including a 50-point game in the NBA Finals. But I just lean Jokic. He's done it more consistently, and I don't know, man. I just think I lean big man right now with Jokic, getting a post up, being able to score at will, being the assist his teammates. And obviously, we didn't know if a center could lead and be the number 1 guy in a championship team until this past season because it just hasn't been done in a long time. But Jokic, he's a trendsetter. Are you with me? Do you think Nikola Jokic is the best player in the NBA? Or do you think it's Giannis Antetokounmpo? If you think it's Giannis, type GA. If you think it's Jokic, type those NGs like we're in New Jersey. Let me know in the comments section. As always, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We are amping up our NBA coverage. And if you don't want to miss out as the season is less than 7 days away, hit that sub button.